I swung on her, I connected, and it was a bad, bad way to go.
My name is Tiffany, and one of the most important things life has taught me is that you've got to show up for yourself.
Hi, my name is Tiffany. Welcome to Present for Myself. Have you ever been misrepresented? Have you ever been lied on? Have you ever felt misunderstood and wanted to defend yourself? I think that that's just a natural compulsion that we all have. You want to jump to your own defense, especially when the story is incorrect, it's not true, whatever it happens to be. Many of us feel like if I let someone get away with lying on me or telling a story or, telling my story incorrectly or whatever you want to call it, then that's going to be the end of my life. That's going to be the ruin of me and I can't go further. Therefore, we expend more energy trying to correct the way people see us than moving forward with our lives and just living the way that we know is true. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is when not to tell your side of the story. It can cost you a lot of energy, resources, and effort to stick around trying to make people who are committed to misunderstanding you and misrepresenting you and lying on you see your side of the story. Some people just refuse to. They don't want to see the truth because their comfort lies in the lie about you. Their self-esteem is wrapped up in the lie about you. Their one-upsmanship is wrapped up in the lie or misrepresentation or untruth or whatever you want to call it about you. So what do you have to do in those situations? You have to understand that there are times to not tell your side of the story. There are seasons to not tell your side of the story. Oh my gosh, it's so hard though. It really is hard, especially whenever situations and people change as a result of lies that have been being told or misrepresentation, or maybe you're misunderstood and so you're treated according to that misunderstanding. It can be devastating. It can cause you to go into depression. It can really work anxiety up. It can just really take you there. But what you have to understand is there are some times that it's going to be more advantageous for you simply to not let your side of the story be told in that moment or to those people or in that particular circumstance. And we're getting ready to get into those. I spoke to you in my video, Why People Get Mad When You Practice Radical Self-Care, about the dark triad. Those individuals who are emotionally abusive and manipulative, who don't deserve any part of who you are. And these people especially do not deserve your side of the story. Narcissists, people who work in Machiavellianism, people who are psychopaths. Just to sit and try to continue to explain yourself to a person like that, to continue to try to help them to see who you are or to correct a narrative that they may have constructed or have about you, it can drain every bit of your essence. A lot of times we leave a situation where we've been emotionally abused and we wonder, what are they going to say about me? What are they going to tell others about me? What about my reputation? No, I have to stay and make it right. I have to make them see that they can't just scandalize my name or put me out there or ruin my reputation any kind of way. Listen, honey, they don't care. They're going to talk about you in a way, whatever way makes them look best is how they're going to do it. For you to try to stick around and change a narrative, especially when that individual has already charmed people into seeing things their way, it is not going to do you any good at all. I remember when I was in counseling, when I was going through a really bitter divorce. I don't talk a lot about my divorce because it's in the past. I'm happily remarried, but it is part of why I do what I do. And I remember being in a counseling session where I was told there are certain things that you have a right to legally even that you may have to forego in this season just so that you can get away and get your mental health in check. And I was like, yeah, I worked hard. You don't understand. I worked hard. I built this with that person. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. But then the counselor got me to see that I was working myself into a lather on a regular basis, mentally, trying to do all kind of acrobatics in order to get people to see my side of the story. Or I had this desire to anyway. I didn't really do it, but I had this strong desire to. And how taking myself out of the situation for a season. Don't worry about the legalities for a season. Now, this is not legal advice for anyone, and I'm not trying to give you advice. Everyone's situation is different. For me at that time, it was best just to remove myself completely from the situation and just move forward, constructing my life with the energy that I had rather than trying to go back and retell and redo all the things that had been being said about me. So that's what I committed myself to do. The long and short of it is I finally got free and everything worked out for the best. And in my situation, that's what was necessary. Now, again, it might not be best for your situation, but for me, it was best that I not stick around and tell my side of the story. So when you're dealing with, emotional abuse, when you're dealing with people who are a part of the dark triad, people who are engaging in crazy making behavior where you're concerned, gaslighting you, people who have gotten themselves involved with the people who you're intimately involved with, meaning your friends and your family, and try to paint a certain picture of you, there's no reason for you to really stick around and try to make that right. And another part of that, a subset of that, is that if these people were really truly family, if these people are truly really friends, then they're going to see you for the way they see you and set upon their relationship with you and not what's being said about you. So oftentimes we can actually find out who lives up to the standard of those definitions during the seasons of our lives where we're being misrepresented or misunderstood. So in situations where you're dealing with people who are in the dark triad, no, you don't need to stick around and tell your side of the story. You need to move forward. Another reason not to tell your side of the story is to get revenge. Listen, getting revenge sometimes can seem sweet, and you hear people say stuff like, living your best life is the best revenge and all of that. I don't deal in revenge. I can be petty just like anybody else. All of us sometimes like to see someone get what's coming to them as a result, especially if they've wronged us or people that we loved or what have you. But at the end of the day, that's not where your energy needs to be concentrated. Getting revenge. Getting revenge requires a lot of energy, a lot of toxic energy. It requires things of you that most of us cannot afford to give because we need our energy again to do what? To get free. So your job is not to get revenge. Your job is to get free. So therefore, in situations where you say, I want to tell my side of the story to get revenge, that's not the season or the time for you to do that. Get free. Don't get revenge. Another reason for you not to stick around and tell your side of the story is because sometimes just your presence is convoluting things. All these voices and all the things that are being told and said, and there you are smacked out dab in the middle of it trying to bat all of them away. And sometimes it's best just to extract yourself from the situation and let everyone just kind of come to their own conclusions and duke it out amongst themselves and see what your absence yields. See what your absence produces and brings. Because sometimes we want to stay right up there in that family situation, in that group that we're a part of, and just, be all a part of and he said and she said, well, that's not what happened, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. No. Sometimes it's best just to be like, you know what? I said what I said. This is my life. If you don't believe me, this is the way that I roll. And then pull away from the table, get up and walk away. Because in those situations, love and understanding is no longer being served. Judgment and, people who want to see you go down as a person of ill repute, all of that's being served. When it comes to your reputation, when it comes to your story, that's the very essence of who you are. That's what stays here in this realm after you're gone. So why allow someone to dictate your truth to you when you know your truth? You know your truth. Sis, bruh, you know your truth. So don't let other people convince you of who you are and who you are not. If you know the truth of what happened, if you were there, you lived it. Don't give other people that upper hand on you. Another reason not to stick around and tell your side of the story is that sometimes this desire that we have to always defend ourselves can go over into people pleasing. You don't want anyone to think negatively of you. And I mean, no one. It doesn't matter who knows the story. The mailman, it could be the vending machine guy at your job. It can be anyone. And you're always running up and trying to correct it. That's not what happened. And see, what really happened was, or you meet somebody in the grocery store after a situation has occurred and people have heard about it. And you feel so compelled to go and make it right. I guess you heard about, No. That's a form of people pleasing. Like me, love me. What part of myself can I allow you to consume that will make you like me more? 9 times out of 10, they don't care. Especially certain people, they've just heard of you. They don't even know you like that. And here you are just spilling it, just telling it all. Check yourself for that. Check yourself for that form of people pleasing that comes with you always wanting to defend yourself to everyone who knows and even knows of you. Another reason that you should not tell your side of the story is simply in the name of transparency. That's been a catch-all phrase for a lot of things. Hey sis, be transparent. Tell us the situation. What's going on? What's tea? Help us. Sometimes when we hear your story, okay, you know what? There are times where it does work. There's times where you can share a little extra with people and it helps to alleviate something that they may be going through. And it also makes you seem relatable or what have you. But beware that your transparency is not just masked lack of boundaries. Masking your lack of boundaries and transparency is not true transparency. True transparency requires wisdom. It knows when to stop and when to allow. Okay? So just telling your side of the story in the name of transparency is not always going to be the winner for you. Okay? I remember I worked really hard to become the first Black president of the student body when I was a senior in high school. That was huge at my school. It was huge on so many levels. Not only had I worked hard to become the first Black president of the student body, I was on track to be voted most likely to succeed, which was a senior superlative that I had wanted since I was in the 6th grade. I also had built a good reputation with my teachers and with certain members of other members of the staff and the students at the school. So this situation occurred where my best friend at the time spread a really vicious rumor about me. And it was the kind of rumor that social media, it wasn't around. So it just got, it just grew bigger and bigger, word of mouth. I couldn't just go on Facebook or Instagram and make a video and go, let me tell you why this isn't true, blase, blase, blase. No, I had to kind of just sit with that. And as I was sitting with it, I became more and more angry about the fact that over the course of my school years, oftentimes when people would try to fight me or step to me or whatever, teachers would always intervene and be like, Tiffany, don't do it. Don't fight this person. You have more to lose than they do. And this particular time hurt worse because this was supposed to be my best friend. And so I approached her in student government homeroom where they had given me my own classroom. It was kind of like my office. It was where the student government met. And it was about 2 months before school let out, 2 or 3 months before school was over. And we were all going to be off to college. I had earned some scholarships and all these kinds of things. And how about when I approached her and asked her if she had told that rumor, she not only said, yes, I did. I asked her why. And she said, because I heard it. I was devastated. All the years of all the teachers pulling me into the classroom to tell me, don't fight this person. Don't let him get to you, Tiffany. You've got all, it just went out the window in that moment. I was so hurt. I put my finger up in her face and I said, don't you ever. And she smacked my hand out of her face, which was what I needed in order to go by the rule that you let them hit you first. And when she smacked my hand out of her face, I swung on her with every single ounce of my preserved reputation in that moment. And I just let her have it. I swung on her, I connected, and it was a bad, bad way to go for her. I just tore in. When I got back to school after a 2 or 3 day suspension, because back then it didn't matter if you fought, I remember being called into the office and I was told, you almost lost your post as student body president. But since the year is almost over and all of your major projects are already done, we're going to let you keep that designation. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. But then I was told, you've lost your scholarships. So-and-so called from this organization. It got back to them what happened. And part of the scholarship is about, being a good citizen or, all these kinds of good behavior type things as well as your grades. And so I lost my scholarship money. Not only that, I was called into another meeting and told, you've also lost your ability to become a senior superlative and be voted most likely to succeed. When I tell you I went home, I was so deflated and so upset because in my desire to protect my reputation, I had lost so much more. And then I learned those who knew me well, they wouldn't have believed it anyway. Those who were committed to misunderstanding me, that was just going to be fodder for them for however long until life set in for all of us. But I didn't know that when I was 17. At that time, all I knew was, you're trying to ruin my life. And for many of us, that's the way we see protecting our reputation as, that's my life. You're trying to ruin my life. Had I known then what I know now, I would have just let it go. But I'm grateful for what I know now because I'm able to share with you from my life experiences. It's something that's hard for a lot of us. We want to be heard. Your voice is important. Your story, your narrative is important. But you have to know when. There's a time and there's a season for sharing your side of the story. Listen, if you've got something out of this or any of the videos that you've seen, please subscribe. The button is down below. Click that subscribe button so that you'll be notified when I post. Also, don't forget to share it with people. Share it with people who you think this may benefit. Come back and look at it again if you need a refresher on any of this. Sometimes I'll listen to my own stuff and I'll go back to listen to other people's as well. We need each other. We need each other, okay? Listen, I'm rooting for you.
Don't know the words we hum.